Hi. Hello everybody, it's Alexander today and I am talking about hair emergency. What to do when you have a hair situation. So in case you don't already know who I am, my name is Alexander, as I said before, and I am the ambassador for UltraStrands. And UltraStrands is a hair volumizing solution that provides additional hair for those that have got fine or thinning hair. If you want to know more about UltraStrands and what we can do, go to our website at www.ultrastrands.co.uk. Today, I am talking about 3 vital things you must have, which is going to help you if you have a hair emergency situation. And when I'm talking about a hair emergency situation, I'm talking about a hair emergency situation with UltraStrands. Anything can go wrong with anything. So, we're not on our own to let you know that you can have a situation with UltraStrands which is unexpected, and it's not about the event or what actually happens, it's what you do after the event. And if you don't have the tools or the knowledge or the skills or the help or the advice to provide you with some sort of a solution, then you're not going to know what to do. So it's my job today to give you some advice on things that you can do should you hit an emergency. And the type of emergency that I'm going to be talking about today is if your volumizer comes loose. So what happens if your volumizer suddenly becomes loose and you are going out for an important meeting and you don't know what to do? It could well be that you woke up in the morning and suddenly, I don't know, something snagged and the space between your scalp and the volumizer is a little bit more than it should be, and you need a solution. I'm here to let you know, do not panic. Whatever happens, do not panic. I'm here to help you. So one of the things that I have in my toolbox is a hair grip. This is an essential tool. This tool, you should have a couple of these in your bag. Always take a couple of these in your bag. Have about 3 or 4, because that's all you would necessarily need. Because when your hair slips, for instance, and is loose, it's pretty much more the front area that you need to secure, because it's the area that people can see. All the other areas are generally okay. Now, what I will advise you to do is that as soon as you do have a situation, do contact your salon. Don't wait for days. Contact your salon, see if they can get you in as quickly as possible. But in the event that they can't get you in straight away, this is when you're going to be using the tools that I'm talking about. So say, for example, you need it for today and they can't book you in until tomorrow, then these handy tips are going to help you. So when I talk about the volumizer being loose, it means that there's a gap between your scalp and the volumizer itself. When it's first installed, it's installed in such a way that it would lie snug on your scalp, so it shouldn't move. As time goes, because it's attached to your own hair, and as your hair grows, you're going to see some slight movement, and which is why we say to you, come for the maintenance appointments every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on your hair growth. Now, if your hair grows really quickly, then you're going to need to go to the appointments a lot sooner than if your hair doesn't grow that quick. Just because your hair is fine doesn't mean that your hair doesn't grow, and you really do notice how fast your hair grows when you're wearing UltraStrands. So we're now in a situation where your hair is moving and you feel uncomfortable. You feel like it's going to fall off. It's not going to fall off. Let me just let you know, assure you it's not going to fall off. But I know that sensation that, it's moving can put you in a vulnerable situation and you don't feel 100% with yourself. So in order for you to stop that from happening, all you need to do is position the volumizer as you would want it to be positioned, bearing in mind it's not off your head. It's still on your head, but position it where you normally would position it, and literally place one of these clips either side of where the volumizer lies. So to your left and to your right, just slide them in. Be careful when you're sliding them in so that they do not snag against your own hair or snag the volumizer itself. I would suggest that you either get somebody to help you, or you use a mirror when you're doing this so you can clearly see exactly where you are, what you are holding. So what you're going to be doing when you are gripping it in is you are actually gripping in some of your hair against the volumizer as well. So you're literally sliding it in, if you can see, sliding it in against your own hair towards the corner of where the volumizer is installed, and that's attaching the volumizer back onto your own hair so that it would stay sturdy. And you do that on the other side as well. Now, if you feel like you need to have one in the center, what I would suggest that you do is you part your volumizer from left to right with your comb, brush a section of the volumizer forward, and then, so brush it forward like this, section of your volumizer forward, and then place the grip in between that section, and then you can comb your volumizer in the direction that you want it to be combed into. Secure that in place accordingly. And my hair is a total mess, but anyway, this is just a demonstration showing you exactly how it would work. So you just then place it accordingly. So that's what you would do. So make sure you put a section of the volumizer forward. You then put your grip in that section, and then you're able to move your volumizer in any direction you want to. When you are also placing a section of the volumizer in front, make sure that it's as close to the front as possible, because that's what you want to be able to secure down. You don't want your volumizer to be flapping up and down. So you place and you section it as close to the front as possible so that you don't have too much gap between where the volumizer is and where your grip is. Now, those 3 grips should be sufficient to hold your volumizer in place in the front, and then if you need any additional ones in the side and the back, then you can just go ahead and then just put them in accordingly. But the most reasons as to why you're doing this is to ensure that it doesn't look like it is, you know, it is moved off from your head, and you're only doing it as a temporary measure until you can get into your salon. So that is tip number 1. The second vital thing that you should have, which most women will already have, is mascara. Yeah. So what does mascara? Tongue-tied. What does mascara do? So there are scenarios where when you've got the volumizer, because the color of the volumizer itself is clear, so the actual mesh itself is clear, what could happen is that you start to see that clear that clear mesh, which when it goes against your hair is not invisible. When it goes against your scalp, it is invisible. When it goes against your hair, it's not invisible. The only way in which it would be invisible if it's the same color as your hair. So if you're in a scenario where your hair has grown and it's lifted up and then the mesh is lying against your hair as opposed to against your scalp, then all you really need to do is add some mascara. Now, mascara mainly, this is only really going to affect you if you've got darker hair. For most people that have got lighter hair, the volume of the color of the volumizer against your own hair color is pretty much still invisible because your hair is light. But if you've got black hair to dark brown hair, or even medium brown hair, go and choose or select the mascara which closely resembles your hair color. And all you would need to do in that scenario is open up your mascara, look directly into your mirror where your volumizer is, and you just literally are going to dab it. Just dab it in that section. And what that is doing, it is staining the actual base of the volumizer so that it is the same color as your own hair. Now, this is going to be totally fine when you then do pull your hair through and it goes back against your scalp, because it's just going to blend in anyway. So it's not going to be a problem when you do go to the hair salon and then they do pull your hair through. But when you're in a scenario where your hair has pretty much gone underneath and the volumizer is sitting on top, and it's mainly in the times when your volumizer has started to lose hair. So when or if you purchase a volumizer without that much hair on it, because you know you can purchase the volumizers in different densities, and some people, because they don't want too much hair, will go with a lot less hair, will go with very fine hair on the volumizer itself. when you do that, you then will see the actual mesh on from which the volumizer is made, because the finer the hair is that you have on the volumizer, the less hair on the volumizer itself, which means there are gaps. And when there are gaps, then you can see the actual mesh. So in scenarios where you have got where you've got that and it's not something that you want to have, just a little bit of mascara on the actual mesh itself to the same color as possible to your own natural hair color will do the trick. You don't need to put any dyes or anything like that on it. Mascara is good enough. So if you've got an emergency and you're suddenly thinking, oh, I can see a little bit of the mesh against my hairline, for instance, then just dab a little bit of mascara and you're sorted and you're good to go. That solves that problem. Remember, this is when you're in a hair emergency. This is not the situation when your hair is running smoothly, because when your hair is running smoothly, you don't need to do any of these things. This is in a scenario when your hair is in an emergency, you can't get to the hair salon for whatever reason, and you need some action today. So this is the scenario that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your everyday uses of UltraStrands, because UltraStrands on an ongoing basis is not an emergency product. It's a lifestyle product, not an emergency product. So this is when you're in an emergency. The next thing, which is awesome for you to have as well. Now, this is not always going to work for you in an emergency. It will really only work for you if it's something that you've been doing consistently, and that is a pen. Now, with a pen, you're wondering, what am I going to do with a pen? Now, as you already know, the volumizer does have holes in it, and your hair is pulled through the holes. Now, periodically, you should be going with like a pen, for instance, or a fine comb, and pulling your own hair through the holes itself so that your own hair does not go underneath it. Now, if you are doing that when you are in a situation in an emergency and your hair has gone underneath, then you just need to keep doing that. If you have not been doing it, then it's more than likely that this tip is not going to work, because if you haven't been pulling your hair through on a continuous basis and all your hair has gone underneath and you're now in an emergency situation, there is the potential that it's going to be difficult for you to pull your own hair through, and you will definitely need to get yourself to a salon. But if it's something that you've been doing on a continuous basis now, generally, when I talk about pulling your hair through, I'm talking about your hairline area and where your parting is. You don't really need to pull your hair through in any other section. Just where your parting is, where it's visible. And if you're doing that on a continuous basis and for whatever reason you've gone into the shower and it's all gone underneath, then all you really need to do is grab a pen, use your fingers, because your fingers can detect where the holes are. Use your fingers to detect where the hole is. Once you've identified where the hole is, then you take your pen and you just literally will pull your hair through that hole. Again, identify where the next hole is, pull your hair through the hole. Looking in the mirror, identify where the next hole is, pull your hair through the hole. Use a pen, or you can use a crochet needle, something similar to this. If your pen is still too thick, if you can see that against my skin, yep. Okay, you can use a crochet needle, or you can use a tail comb as well. So those are the three options of what you can use in terms of pulling your hair through. Sometimes it's a case of, because you're in an emergency and you just really want to be able to do the hairline as well. So you can do that with just the hairline and get some of your hair pulled through in that method as well. So that one, I will urge you, don't do it if it's not something that you've been doing on a regular basis. Don't do it also if you really just don't know what to do. What I would suggest, if you have an emergency and you're thinking that, oh, I heard Clara talk about putting my hair through, when you go to the hair salon, ask the hair salon how you can do that yourself, so that they can show you exactly what you can do, and also they can recommend some tools that you can use. But in the event that you don't have any tools, a pen works perfectly fine, or a crochet needle will also work as well, and a tail comb as well. Those three things is all you would really need to pull your own hair through. And when you're pulling your hair through, I'm talking about your parting areas and your hairline as well. You don't really need to pull any of the other areas of your hair through unless you know exactly what you're doing. Leave that to the professionals. Leave that to the salons, to your hairdressers to do that. The next thing that I want to talk about, if your hair becomes loose and you've got an emergency, is funkify it up. Funkify it up. So, for instance, use a scarf. So I've got an example here of a scarf that I prepared earlier. And you can do so many funky things with scarves. But the purpose of what you're doing this with the scarf is so that it positions your volumizer so it doesn't move. So first position your volumizer in place, and then you can apply a scarf. So for example, I'm applying this scarf onto my head to match my jacket. And you can funkify it, so it doesn't have to be doesn't have to be something that's gonna make you look, you know, older or anything like that, or make you look like, you know, you're not on trend. So you can have a scarf and you can just put it on your head, tie it in the corner, let that section fall down, and bingo, there you go. And the purpose of the scarf is really to hold the volumizer in place until you can go to your appointment. And once it's held in place, then you're going to feel a lot more comfortable. Sometimes as well, when you've got a scarf, you can pull some of the volumizer forward against your forehead as well, so that you've got like a nice fringe in there. This is going to work if you've got long hair, if you've got short hair. It's not a problem. It will still work for you. So this is a way in which you can actually ensure that, you know, your volumizer is staying in place whilst you are able to feel confident that you can move forward and you can go out and you can do the things that you want to do. The other thing that you can also do if you're not that comfortable in wearing a scarf is have a headband as well. So a small headband, just plop the headband on top of your volumizer. Just be careful where the combs are so it doesn't snag, and you pop that on and you're good to go as well. There's so many things that you can do. You can put your hair in like a ponytail at the back, and the reasons as to why you're doing these type of styles is because what that does is it secures the volumizer so that it doesn't move. And that's what your major concern is. Your major concern is the volumizer is going to fly off, it's going to move, it's going to, you know, it's going to fall off, it's going to cause some sort of embarrassment. So you've got to feel that it's secure, and when you feel it's secure, you're going to be okay. So these techniques are showing you how you can feel secure. So those are the three vital things that you should have. So I'm just going to do a quick recap on that. The first I talked about was the grip. So I said you need to get a grip, not a grip of things, just a grip, a hair grip. So get a hair grip, number one. Have that in your bag all the time. Excuse me, I'm coughing. Oh no, nope, I'm just a normal cough. The second thing is that you should have a pen. So a pen, or you can have a crochet needle or a tail comb. And the third thing is an accessory of some sort. So either you've got a scarf, something similar to what I've got on my head, or you have a headband, or you can tie your hair back into a ponytail. Just make it look good, funkify it up, and that will give you the confidence that you need in that period of time. Like I said before, make sure you do contact the salon first thing. So as soon as you have an emergency, as long as it's within working hours, the working hours of the salon, contact the salon and let them know you've got an emergency that needs to be resolved. Do not try and solve it on yourself before you've contacted the salon, because you never know, they may be able to fit you in. In the event that they're not able to fit you in, that they may be able to offer you advice as well. So if they're able to offer you advice and say, hey, okay, you can't come in today, but in the meantime, this is what you need to do, then follow that advice over what it is I'm telling you to do. If you're not able to contact your salon, or the advice that they've offered you is not working, then try these three things. And one of these three things should work for you. Now, if in the event you've tried all these three things and it still hasn't worked, and you're still waiting for your salon, what I would say to you is do not panic. Do not panic, because panicking is only going to make the situation worse. Panicking is going to make the situation worse. So This is about you being calm. This is about you knowing that there is going to be a solution of some sort. Now, I would suggest that you do speak to your salon regardless. When you're having the volumizer installed, just to say, you know, if there's an emergency, what can I do? Are there things that I can do to help me when my hair has grown out and when it's moving, or those sort of things? Because they'll have lots and lots of different ideas as well, more ideas than I can tell you. So they'll have lots of ideas that they can provide to you. What I will want to say to you is that do not use this as an opportunity not to go for your regular maintenance appointments. It's important that you attend your maintenance appointments. They should be every 4 to 6 weeks. Make sure you go to them, because that is what is helping to keep your health healthy and also to prolong the life of the volumizer. Sometimes it may well be that you need to attend your clinic every more often than 4 weeks, or more often than 6 weeks, depending on your hair growth and depending on your hairstyle. Now, if you've got a fringe, for instance, some of these things that I'm talking about at the moment may not be an issue, because the fringe covers your head quite comfortably and nobody's going to notice any difference. You may just feel that it's moving, but nobody else is going to notice a difference. If, on the other hand, you're more used to pulling your hair back, this is when it becomes more of an issue, because the fact that your hair's lifted, you can then see the difference between your own hair and the volumizer, which is when you're more than likely to panic, which is where styling comes into play. So if you're not used to having your hair across your face, then try it and see how it works. If you're not used to putting your hair in a ponytail, then try see how it works. If you're not used to wearing things like accessories, like bands and things like that, just try it and see how it works. I would always say, have these things in somewhere. Go to the shop, go and buy yourself a beautiful scarf, and just put it in the cupboard, knowing that if you have an emergency, this is what you're going to do. Because the more you've got these things, then you're going to feel comfortable and you're going to feel confident, because you know what you're going to do when or if that happens. Make sure you do have the grips. Like, take the grips with you wherever you go, because you never know when your emergency is going to happen. Because it may be that you're thinking, oh, it's only going to happen when I wake up in the morning and then I'm going to have time to sort myself out. You don't know. You might be in a cat fight. I'm not saying that you would be, but you never know what might happen. You could have your children. You might be out and your children tug at your hair, for instance, and they pull it a little bit harder than they should be. So there's all different reasons as to why this could occur. So having some essential tools that you can just put in place is going to really help you. So I would say definitely have the grips in. If you're able to pull your hair through, then pull your hair through, and then have some sort of an accessory that's going to suit you, that you feel comfortable with. Those 3 things are vital. Have those and you will be okay. Next week, I'm going to talk about a little things a bit more deeper, so more kind of like pressing issues that could occur. You know, we work with the solution, which we use beautiful hair, 100% human hair. We have our meshes are created by hand, and they're inspected. So we do all of those things on a continuous basis, so that when the product comes to you, it is at its best. But even with that said, could be a situation where it doesn't actually quite come out as you expected it, and therefore I'm going to be taking you through some things that you can do to help you when, for instance, your hair's gone frizzy and you don't know how to deal with it, or you don't know how to work with the texture that you've ordered because it's not working the same way as your natural hair. Those kind of things, I'll be taking you through that next week. So we'll be looking a little bit more deeper into some of the elements that could happen. We're not saying that it will happen, but you never know. Things can happen and things can go wrong, and I'm here to give you the knowledge that you need, so that if something does go wrong, you don't have to panic. This is not about panicking. This is about being calm. In this period of time when so many people are panicking, I just want you to feel calm. And if you've got any questions, please ask them Ask them if you're watching live. If you're not watching live, ask them, just post them. If you listen to this video, you're thinking, hey, you know what? I've got a question. Just ask the question, whether you're in Facebook or YouTube or wherever else this video has been posted. Just ask the question, because I constantly go through all the social media platforms and I constantly look for comments, and I proactively will respond to any that I find. So that has been part 2 of what to do when you have a hair situation. I hope it's helped you out. I hope it's helped somebody. And I hope to see you next week when we tune in and go a little bit more deeper into some of the things that could happen and ways in which you can solve it. Take care, everybody. Have a great Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.